Hi, I'm Stephanie Hansen, and this is Stephanie's Dish, and I am going to make a coconut curry salmon soup for you today. It's so cold in Minnesota winters that we eat a lot of soup. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start with the salmon that I've already cut into 1-inch bits. You can have your fishmonger do that, or you can do it yourself. I'm gonna add a little salt, a little pepper, just to season up the salmon. When you're building a soup, you want to have lots of different layers of flavor. So we're just going to make sure that we get that all salt and peppered, and then we're going to set it aside while we get our pan going. I've got some avocado oil, and we're just going to put that in our soup pot. And from there, I'm going to start cooking some onions. And I've cut them pretty fine. It's a medium onion. And we want to make sure that we just get a little bit of transparency on the onion before we move ahead, because we're just building layers of flavor into our soup pot. So we've got our onions, and while that's setting up, I'm going to show you, we were talking earlier about the ingredients of lemongrass, right? People are a little intimidated by lemongrass. I was too. So I'm going to just show you how to cut it. What we do is, this is the lemongrass. It's like a stalk, right? And it's got kind of this hard woody end on it. So you peel off the outer layer so you get kind of the nice juicy bits. And then you go ahead and you just chop them. And it gives you a delicious, fresh, fragrant flavor that you find in Southeast Asian culture. And you can also, here's a little tip, buy it already cut. You can buy it minced in the grocery store, but I like to use fresh. I'm gonna cut off, it's really tough. So I'm gonna cut off some of these ends here. And then with a really sharp knife, you're just gonna go ahead and cut it until you get into like 1/4 inch bits. And you need a good sharp knife to do this. And I can already smell, it smells like so fragrant, so lovely. And again, if you don't wanna use fresh, you don't have to. You can go ahead and buy ginger that's already cut up for you now. Lemongrass that's already cut up for you, garlic. You know, the store makes it so easy for all the shortcuts. All right, so we've got all of this lemongrass that we're gonna be throwing into our soup. Let's go ahead and get that going and give our onions a little stir. Oh, this smells like delicious. I crave like Thai food and curries in the wintertime. Anything that even smells like remotely fresh, like citrus. Because you know, you come up with the holidays in Minnesota, I just did it, there you go, where we're eating like pot roast and stews, and you just want something that is a little fresh. All right, we have our lemongrass all set, and our onions are getting cooked, getting a little brown on them. All right, we're gonna go ahead and stir our lemongrass in there and move on to our next step. We are gonna add our green onions. We used a chive, a shallot, or not a shallot, a green onion. Shallots are not green onions, but they're all alliums, right? So I use the white part and get that going. I'm gonna add my garlic. And I like to mince garlic when I'm using it in soup. I use a microplane and I just grate it because I don't want chunks and I want the whole flavor to permeate the soup. Oh, I'm just gonna stay here a minute. It smells so good. All right, and I'm gonna add my ginger. And a little tip for that is to freeze it. Doesn't look like much here, but this was about 2 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And if you freeze it, you really can grate it on a microplane much easier. And I don't even peel it. I just put the skin and everything right in there. Make it easy. Now we're gonna add some of our favorite mushrooms. I used a shiitake here, and you want kind of bigger hunks, maybe the same size as like your salmon that you're using. That's kind of the big star of the show here is the mushrooms, the salmon, the kale. And we're gonna go ahead and get these cooked down. And once we get them brown, it's gonna take us about 5 minutes probably. We'll go ahead and we'll be adding this super delicious red curry paste. Now, there's a couple different kinds of curry paste you can buy. You can buy the Thai red curry that's just in a little bottle. That's fine. I happened to buy a different kind of curry that was an Indian curry. Similar flavor profile. It's what they had at the store. But by buying the curry already pre-made for you, that's really what you're going to use for spices. There isn't a lot other than that. So the aromatics here, the onions, the garlic, the lemongrass, are going to be what gives this soup most of its flavor. And then you're going to add that hit of curry, and it's going to be super delicious. So we're just going to let the mushrooms do their thing here a minute. Okay, so I've got our coconut milk, I've got our onions going. The next thing I'm going to do when the onions are fully browned is I'm going to add the curry paste, I'm going to add the coconut milk, I'm going to add some fish sauce, some honey, and I'm going to let all that come together. Again, we're building on flavor profiles just to give this a delicious, delicious final flavor. This is a soup that is not going to sit on the refrigerator all day or on the stovetop all day, like a couple hours. You're going to be able to eat this right after we're done. So I want to make sure that I give the mushrooms enough time for the flavor to develop. Okay, so our mushrooms have been cooking for about 5 minutes. And our next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the curry paste, and we're going to add the coconut milk, and we're going to add the fish sauce. This is the red curry paste. And it's important that you stir this around and let those spices, what they call, bloom. And the way they bloom is by being exposed to the heat. So mix them up with your mushrooms, your onions, your lemongrass, your ginger, your garlic. Ooh, yum, does that smell good. All right, and from there we're gonna add our coconut milk, 2 full cans. And when you use coconut milk, you can see there's like a top on it that looks like Crisco. The milk is underneath there. And that is the fatty, yummy unctuousness that's gonna give us a delicious soup. Get all that in there, to this one. See that? Yum. Ooh, so delicious. All right, go ahead and throw this. Right away, the soup has cooled down and it's starting to marry with the curry paste, the mushrooms. Yum, this is looking delicious. We're gonna add the fish sauce, add the honey. The honey, I sprayed this container with a little bit of vegetable oil so that the honey comes out easily. I'm going to add the fish sauce. Fish sauce. You know that fish sauce is, probably shouldn't tell you this because maybe it'll creep you out and you won't use it, but it's anchovies. And it gives just such a delicious umami flavor. All right, so we are letting our coconut milk and our seasonings all come together here. We've got our fish sauce, our honey. Once I get this back up to temperature, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add the kale, and I'm gonna add the salmon, and then I'm gonna let it cook and simmer for 5 minutes so I can make sure that I get the salmon cooked through. Yum. I'm so excited to eat this soup. It's been like so cold here in Minnesota. It's like literally -5 today. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna add the salmon. Yum. I'm gonna add the kale, and I use the dinosaur kale, and I cut it into like 1-inch pieces. And you can use a lot because it's gonna go ahead and cook down. And I'm gonna get all of this combined, and then I'm gonna simmer for 5 minutes and then check back in on my salmon to make sure that it's cooked through. Okay, now I don't know how you feel about this delicious soup. Oh my word, you guys. Again, you need smell-o-vision for these kind of things, right? I want to just tip up the pot a little bit and see if you can see it before I ladle it. Can you see? Oh my gosh, the mushrooms, the kale, the salmon. All right, so we're gonna finish the soup here. I had a little bit of salt left over from salting the salmon, so I'm just gonna throw that in there because you need to salt your food. I'm gonna put lemon zest. I have the zest from, or excuse me, this is lime zest. I always say the wrong word. I have the zest from 3 limes here, and I also have half of a lime that's juiced, and we're gonna go ahead and just put that in. Super fresh. The fresh ingredients you kind of always add at the end, and it just gives you that punch of bright, citrusy, yummy deliciousness. Oh, so good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make a bowl here. I have rice that I already made, and I'm just gonna put like a scoop of rice in here, make it look pretty. Then I'm gonna put the soup around it. Okay, oh you guys, so delicious. This is gonna be hearty, filling, bright, so it's gonna like cut through any of those winter doldrums that you're having. I'll go ahead and just make sure that my bowl looks pretty. We're gonna add a little bit of green onion. Oh, sorry, I gotta move over here. Here, we'll put it down here so you guys can see it. A little bit of green onion. Okay. We're gonna add a little bit of fresh lime just on the top. And if you want to, you can have your pretty limes in there. Then we're gonna have a little bit of Thai chili because you know, you want a little bit of spice. And then a little bit of freshly julienned basil just to finish off that completely fresh flavor profile. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. All right, what do you think? Salmon curry soup. And I mean, it's kind of a stew because we put rice in there too, but it's going to be delicious. You can find this recipe and a lot of other delicious recipes for cozy winter foods at stephaniesdish.com.